Well, welcome everyone back for another exciting interview. Today we've got Ben from Evie Charging Network. Let's just jump straight into it. Ben, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about Evie and what you guys are up to at the moment.
Thanks, Andrew. Firstly, thanks for having us on the series. Great to be part of it. In terms of my background, I've actually been with Evie just around 18 months now. It's been a terrific journey so far. Prior to that, I worked in a Custom Fleet, which is a fleet management organization managing ranges of cars, really complex fleets across the industry, small ones, large ones, navigating through some of those complex environments with managing a fleet of vehicles. So Evie brought me across to sort of leverage some of those skills and bring it into the fold here in terms of the transition to EV. So yeah, it's been exciting.
Cool. And what's the biggest thing that you love so far in your 18 months at Evie?
There's no day that's the same. Every day is different. You know, the industry's so nascent, it's moving in a different direction every day. There's new technologies coming out and we're sort of building our product roadmap, which is really exciting as well. Talking to customers, learning about what they do. Yeah, it's just great to be a part of this new industry, or reasonably new industry, right?
Yeah. Barely 7 years, right? So for those that don't know, give us the 60-second pitch on who you guys are and what you do.
Fundamentally, we are a pure play CPO with an adjacent business. So right now we have around 175 DC. So we only do DC fast charging out in the wild across every state and territory in Australia. We have a really good footprint of charging that enables the customers to go in and charge their vehicle when they're out on the road. They might be at a shopping center, getting their groceries, and they can take what we call an opportunistic charge along the way. The line of business which I run, I'm the head of enterprise sales here at Evie Networks. And it's an adjacent business, really trying to drive utilization to the network and supporting fleets, you know, leveraging my background at Custom Fleet to transition depots, for example, to our, you know, depot charging, for example, for the customers, access to our network in a couple of different ways as well. So yeah, that's our business.
Okay, very cool. So 175 chargers, like where are you going?
No, sites actually.
Sites, even better. 175 sites, even better.
That's a lot of companies talk in charge points or plugs, if you like. We actually talk in sites, and maybe we should change our language around that. But yeah, we talk about sites. So each site might have one charger, might have two chargers, or 4 chargers, for example. So quite a few plugs in that regard.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was at a presentation a couple of months ago, and one of the large fuel stations was like, "We're launching with 100 new chargers," and I'm like, "Oh, how many sites is that?" They're like, "Oh, maybe 30." I was like, "Oh, right. That's not as large of a footprint as I thought it would be."
I think it's around 600 plugs we've got. To sort of at a rough count. Yeah.
And where are you guys headed over the next 2 years then?
To the moon. We want to go big, right? We have really strong aspirations of being a significantly large player in the market. Our footprint right now will be 200 sites by the end of the year. Right now, we're probably building around 15 a month. By the end of the year, we'll be about 200, closer to 300 by the end of the financial year, and probably around 2,000 sites by the end of the next 10 years. So We've got a really strong growth trajectory. Yeah.
Comparatively, how does that measure to a BP or an Ampol, like in terms of sites nation? Does that put you on the same size and scale as them?
Right now, we do have a larger network than both of them.
Yep.
They've got obviously the legacy footprint of P&C sites, and they're working through their rollout in terms of that. But right now, I think we've got more sites than actually both of them combined. So
okay, so let's go back just to ground zero then, and let's talk a little bit about kind of infrastructure and charging and how you guys are actually working to support a lot of the EV drivers. Tell us a little bit right now, major cities versus rural. How does that work?
We want to go where the cars are fundamentally. We've got a team which really sits down every day and is looking at the network roadmap. Where do we want to build? What are the access to the amenities that we want to provide our customers while they're charging? And so there's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into sort of working through that roadmap. We are in every state and territory in Australia. I think we're actually the only DC fast charging network that can claim that right now. The focus is on sort of the footprint. We want to have chargers within 5 Ks of another charger so the customers are able to go and charge conveniently, and we're in the locations that they work, eat and play and do those sort of things. So that's really the goal. Our footprint's getting larger every day, and yeah, it's an exciting place.
Okay. So what does it take to build a site?
A lot of planning. There's a lot that goes into it, right? So firstly, we partner with site hosts. Now that might be like the likes of shopping centers, quick service restaurants. We do have some sites on petrol and convenience as well, what we call big box. So the likes of Ikea and Dan Murphy's, we've got partnerships with them. And so it starts there. We partner with strategic partners to sort of work in with what we call dwell. So if we're pairing say 50 kilowatt charger to a specific time period that it's going to take to charge an average car. So what do I mean by that? So a 50 kilowatt, you're going to be able to charge the car in sort of 20, 30 minutes, depending on the vehicle, of course. And we're pairing that with the use case of the site host. So, you go in and do your shopping, and by the time you come out, the charge is done.
I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of the design of the network.
So is there any way for customers to kind of reach out to you and say, hey, I need one near my house, but there isn't one?
100%. Like we really always want customer feedback. There's a couple of ways customers can reach out to us to provide that feedback. We actually just deployed a new app a couple of months ago. It's actually our native app. We own the app, and so through that app you can go through and call us directly. There's a link to the phone number. We'll provide just a form where you can submit your details, and one of our team will come back to you. So there's a couple of ways they can do it. But yeah, please send us the feedback. We always want to know where the good sites are.
Awesome. There's none near my house. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Let's talk about partnership with federal and state and government. Like, how does that work? Do you guys have a ongoing and open communication? Are you guys working together? Are you competition? Like, how are we trying to build this collectively to make sure that this infrastructure is really kind of benefiting everyone together?
Yeah, it's a great point. And government's critical to the transition, right? We've been lucky to get a significant amount of money from Arena, who supported us and the competitors out there with expediting this transition by providing grant money to go through and build the sites. Building public charging infrastructure, it's capital intensive, and the government getting involved and supporting that is really crucial. So we're thankful for the government that have supported us through this journey so far.
So tell us more about the grants and the kind of federal program. Is there anything that is being put directly into infrastructure? Do you know specifics and things like that, or are they able to be shared, or where can people find out about that?
Yeah, it's all in the public domain, I think. So there's, the Arena website's got a lot of stuff. There's what we call the Future Fuels Fund. That's sort of the federal government, I believe. And in terms of the state government, they've always got new sort of things coming out in terms of ways to get involved with that and attain grant money. That might be for fleets or businesses trying to transition that can get support for charging grants to help them roll out the infrastructure, or it might be customer based in terms of the end consumer getting support from, say, for example, the FBT changes, which supporting the novated leasing industry. There's certainly a couple of ways that the government's supporting in this rollout.
All right, let's talk about the thing everyone always likes to talk about, which is the charger reliability and downtime
definitely.
And things like that. Tell us, what do you guys do that is unique or different, at Evie, to really make sure that people are either just not stalled on the parking spaces, or people are moving on. Like, tell us about what you guys do.
Yeah, well, firstly, the thing to understand is our business model is actually a build, own and operate. So all of the sites that are out in the wild, we build, own and operate. So that gives us the control to manage the network the way we want to. And in terms of the way we monitor the stations, we've got a 24/7 monitoring system where people are watching the chargers. A lot of the time we can tell that they're offline over the air. And actually right now we've got around a 98% uptime. So the reliability of the network is really strong. Charges will go down, but it's about how you manage that transition back to having it online. So there's a couple of key pieces to that. Firstly, we actually work solely with Tritium and the DC network is all Tritiums out there today. That single point sensitivity gives us the ability to carry spares. So we've got a network of spare parts that we can roll out quickly to return a charger to service if we have to. A lot of the charging infrastructure can be fixed over the air as well. So providing updates and the like to get the charger back online. So that's a couple of things that we can do there.
So what's the best way for drivers to find this information, right? Because the worst thing you can have is pulling up and someone's sitting there or it's broken. Like, what's the best way to avoid them? Because often it's easier just to avoid it than it is to stop and get let down. Like, what's the best way of working with you guys or getting that information?
The customer interaction is paramount, right? So our app will allow you to sort of see if a charger's online, and also allow you to see if someone's using it. It's quite neat in that regard. So customers can get the communication to understand that the charger's working, and you can go there and get the charge. And also if it's offline, it'll show you that as well. And we try to communicate via that channel and also via emails if that's available, and then we can manage it that way.
So we've talked about the app a couple of times, and you've just said that you've released something
We're quite
new.
proud of it.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
And you've just released a new version of it.
Yeah, I mean, we were previously using a third party,
Yep.
And like a white label kind of scenario, and we've actually brought it in-house, and we owned it and designed it and rolled it out recently. So it's great. It just gives us the flexibility to sort of change things moving forward in line with the customer needs and the feedback. And we've had really good feedback on the app so far, a lot of uptake of it. We had a lot of customers using it, and it's a good acid test to see if they transition to the new app to continue to use us in the future. And we're really pleased with the results.
Give me the top two things about the new app.
The Evie app is it's available on Android and iOS, of course. Download it. You can start and stop a charge with the app, which is probably the key reason you need to get it. You can also locate where the charges are in real time, so you can see where they are, their status, if they're online, in use, or potentially not working. And yeah, it's a one-stop shop for your charging needs.
And so before you talked a little about your site partnerships with guys like Dan Murphy's and Ikea, does that mean all Dan Murphy's will have them, or is it just very selective based on our rollout plan? Or are you all of a sudden going to see every Dan Murphy's with an Evie Charger?
It's a reasonably new relationship, right? So we're working with them today, and we've got a few sites that are rolling out. Whether all of them are suitable for charging is another issue. So we would love to have chargers at all of their sites, but it's sort of working with them to determine if that works for them and also for us as well in terms of the demand and the location of those sites. So we're working with them and in partnership to sort of work out the best solutions. But over time, we'll have more at each of those sites, I'm sure.
Does the partnership extend to things that you can do? Like, do you go to Dan Murphy's and also get a discount there?
Look, right now, no, but yeah, that's something we can entertain in the future, and we'll work with them to determine what that could look like.
What about other EV businesses? There's tons of great EV businesses out there. There's tons of people using similar things, similar apps, similar networks, similar insurance brands. Like, how do we go about creating this ecosystem for EV drivers that's encompass all of their needs, not just charging or insurance or at-home box? Like, how do we start to together create a community?
Yeah, I think that's an important point, right? Sort of working together with selective partners across all of the ecosystems that are involved in the EV landscape, insurance, servicing, OEMs, and then ultimately the site hosts that house the charging infrastructure. There's opportunities everywhere to partner to sort of make a really good customer experience and value proposition for them.
Cool. And then maybe the last couple of things we're talking about is around sustainability. Right? Like, what are you guys doing for ESG? What are you guys doing for sustainability? How are you guys tapping into the solar network? Tell us a little bit about you guys both as a corporate entity and also as your sourcing energy.
Look, firstly, all of our sites are 100% green power, so we underwrite that and ensure that they are recognised in that regard. So that's whereby the electrons come in, and obviously some of them will already come from a sustainable source, and then some do not. And so we're able to sort of offset those differences with the certificates from a clean energy perspective. So yeah, all of our sites will be 100% green power moving forward, and they are today.
There's a couple of different models in competitors out there, right? So how do you guys differentiate what you offer versus all the other players?
Firstly, we're a pure play CPO. Fundamentally, that's all we do. We just build, own, and operate charging infrastructure, manage it. From that regard, and there's a couple of different models out there. So you've got some organizations out there that are like a software layer. They go out and they just effectively will manage other people's charges, which is great. I think it's a good business model. I think that the challenge for them will be sort of managing the reliability against charges that they don't own. You've obviously got the oil companies out there that are rolling out charging infrastructure on their petrol and convenience footprint. You've got Tesla, of course, and they're effectively a car manufacturer, right, with a side hustle of charging. You've got an advertising company out there, so they're selling advertising and charging as well as a vertical alignment. So for us, it's just we've got a pure play charging business, and building, owning, and operating assets, and our return on investment is people charging at our sites. So
without talking down the other guys, likely means that your reliability and efficiencies are probably more highly monitored, shall we say.
We certainly monitor our charging infrastructure, as I mentioned, 24/7. So that is key for us, and that, in our opinion, provide customers with a strong view as to our reliability. Our view is that we want to make sure that they feel confident coming to our site, that it'll be working as often as possible, and get that really good customer experience. It's hard for me to talk about the other organizations. They've got their own views and how they manage through that. But certainly from our perspective, it's about that reliability and great customer experience when they go to an Evie site.
Yeah, and that's what really resonates with us here at KOBA, because in insurance, there is no customer experience. Like, classically, the best insurance customer is the person who never calls the insurer, right? We're going into a place where there's never been a relationship, and introducing data, introducing partners, working with people like you guys who really truly believe in experience is something that we're trying to change within in the insurance.
Yeah.
Now, let's be honest. Insurance isn't going to be sexy, but it can be better, right? It can be better. It can be helpful. It can be, two-way. And one of the things that we hope and we really see within the EV community is that businesses like you guys have done a great job in setting up that expectation. And so when we bring our product to it, they go, oh, we already have this great customer experience expectation. And the two then marry up really nicely together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's been great. All right, well, thank you so much for your time. I think it's all been great. Like everything, there are going to be plenty of content pieces here as KOBA continues to explore how we design our EV product out in the open. We look forward to forging great partnerships with you guys. I'm hoping that we can put something together early in the new year as our product roadmap kind of outlines. It's something that we'd love to figure out a way that we can work together, get our customers some benefit of yours and getting your customers some benefits of ours. But eager to see what goes on in the next couple of months, both that you're in our end. And so thank you very much, Ben, for spending some time with us.
No, you're welcome, Andrew. Great. Thanks for having us.